Welcome back to Sports List Live, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard, Austin Robinson with you till 9 o'clock, and we appreciate you joining us throughout the state of Alabama. And we'll go to the phone lines now, and we'll welcome in head football coach at the University of North Alabama, head coach Terry Bowden. Coach Bowden, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Brett. Austin, appreciate being with y'all.
Well, Coach, I tell you what, big news for you guys up at UNA, and Coach, ever since you've been at North Alabama, you've taken the next step, and you've taken that program to an even higher height than it's been in the past. And just talk about this move in the history of UNA's program and where this puts you guys right now.
I mean, well, let me say this. I appreciate your compliments and the credit you give me, but UNA has got a good, strong tradition. Bobby Wallace, of course, 3 national championships in a row. And, no one's ever done 3 national championships in a row at any level of division of college football. Bobby Wallace took North Alabama to 3 levels of 3 championships in a row, 93, 94, 95. Many of y'all will remember those were my first 3 years at Auburn. But at that point, when that was about the time Troy moved from Division II to 1AA to Division I, and Jacksonville, the other big rival, has moved up. And, of course, Sanford moved up, and UAB started football, and South Alabama started football. And all of a sudden, North Alabama, we can't hardly go around the state and attract players because we don't have the scholarships, and we have to give partial scholarships at the Division II level. And so what this historic move does is it puts us at a level to compete with the mid-majors. There will always be Alabama and Auburn, but we want to get closer and closer to Troy and Jacksonville and South Alabama and UAB and Sanford and people like that. And I think this is the first step, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Well, Coach, that you answered kind of my next question, and you were at Auburn University, and you were there during a time coming off a probation. You took that job, and you had an unbelievable streak in Auburn history. 2 years there. The first year, 93, went 11-0, and it was just so much for the Auburn people. You brought everything kind of back together really quickly. But then you were out of coaching for a while after you left Auburn, and everybody knew you still had that fire in you wanting to coach.
Yeah.
You end up at North Alabama, Coach, and you just kind of mentioned a few of the hurdles that you witnessed when you got to UNA. But your first year, you went 11-2, so obviously wasn't that many hurdles. But were you a big push behind this move?
No, I was not, and I tried to make sure I wasn't. I've been very fortunate to have been a head coach at Division III, Division II, 1AA, and Division I. I've been a head coach at every level. And I've also had the fortune of going out and working in New York City at ABC Sports for 7 years with Mike Tirico, John Saunders, people like that. Worked for CBS Radio for 3. But I did not want to go to North Alabama and say, gosh, I want to be a 1A coach. Y'all go, let's move up so I can be that. If UNA had still been number Division II, I'd love it there anyway and love to try to win a championship there. I think UNA has come to the point where we have almost no more opponents in our area. We have to travel 7, 10, 15 hours bus rides just to find a Division II team. I mean, there's still West Alabama and West Georgia and Valdosta and Delta, but those are the only 4 teams in our conference that play football. We've got to travel 12, 16 hours on a bus. So the obstacles were we could no longer find teams in our area that are playing Division II football. The Ohio Valley Conference, 1AA football, that looks to be where we're going. All 11 teams are within 4 hours of our university throughout Tennessee, Kentucky, and that's the direction we needed to go. Of course, Jacksonville, already we've talked about a home-and-home game with Jacksonville. Those will be huge for our fans and huge for Jacksonville's fans, and so that's kind of where we needed to go. And I had really nothing to do with it. I told them I would be. It was never offered to me to take the job. It would be moving up, but I never wanted them to offer that. If I want to be a 1A coach and I've got to go be an assistant somewhere, I would have done that. But I'd like to be at UNA, and I'd like to help build this program. Larry Blakeney to me has done more for that university than any coach really that's alive right now have done for their universities in the state. We're not talking Shook Jordan and Bear Bryant and so many of the great coaches of the past. For the last 20 years, Larry Blakeney has made that football program, and that's awful. That's when you think about being 55 years old and having about 10 or 15 more years to coach. It's awful nice to think you might be able to do that for a community and for a university.
Well, Coach, I have a question here. You've already kind of talked about some of the differences Whereas you're taking, if you're at Auburn or in Alabama, you're taking plane rides if you're driving 15 hours. Whereas UNA, you're taking the 15-hour bus ride.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about from a recruiting. We talk a lot about recruiting, and we cover a lot of. We do a lot of work with the HSA and a lot of recruiting news. Tell us a little about the recruiting difference. I know the partial scholarship is a big limitation there at UNA,
yes,
but also the recruiting of the kids. How do you kind of sell the university when you're at Auburn? You're recruiting that 4 or 5-star guy that's getting everybody, beating down his door, versus maybe a young man who you might be recruiting to a UNA.
Well, the first thing is, nowadays people are getting junior commitments and sophomore commitments. The worst thing you can do in Division II is get any commitment at all before signing day. Because if you're getting the right guy, he doesn't want to go D2, he wants to go 1A or 1AA. And in his heart, he believes that's where he should be playing. Until they don't offer him or they don't sign him, that's about the first time you can talk to him. So you've got to wait till the very end and hold it and have a holding game to get the best players, because you're not going to outbeat. They give full scholarships. We have 36 scholarships. If we could give full, but if we gave full scholarships, we only have 36 guys on our roster. Jacksonville State has 63 at 1AA level. Alabama Auburn have 85. So we can't give a full, so we're giving just partials. That does not allow us to go into different Alexander City and take the top player, because the top player would be getting offered maybe a full ride to Alabama State or to Jacksonville State or to Troy or to South Alabama, to Birmingham. So we have to go in there and take the second, third player who doesn't get offered a full. We do pretty well in our local schools, from maybe west of Huntsville, north of Coleman, up to Florence. We do pretty well with the local guys because they can live at home and be on full ride. But what the move up will allow us to do, the move up in scholarships will allow us to pretty much go out and canvass the state of Alabama and be able to recruit head-to-head with the mid-majors that are in Alabama right now. And I think that's going to be very, very important to us as we try to attract the best student-athlete from the state of Alabama.
Well, Coach, we got Coach Terry Bowden on the phone with us here from UNA. Coach, talk about the state of football in the state of Alabama with all the Division I teams now, and with Alabama winning a national championship in 2009, Auburn following that up this past year, 2 Heisman Trophy winners, just so much notoriety and fame nationwide in this state of Alabama. And it's a small state relatively when you look at some of the other states like Florida and Texas and California and New York, and the success that all these programs have enjoyed. As you talked about, Bobby Wallace winning a national championship after national championship while you were at Auburn. Do you think right now the state of Alabama is as strong as it's ever been from top to the bottom in college football?
Absolutely. I know there's not another state in America with the emphasis, with the commitment from the fan, through the booster, through the child, through the family, the commitment to college football, emotional commitment, financial commitment, the philosophical commitment to college football. Too many other states have pro football, other sports, basketball, hockey, whatever they have in their states. We've kind of made our stand on college football in the state. And you know what? There are not enough athletes in the state to give us 10 national champions. We have 10 schools if we move up. But you know what? We have enough fans to give us championships, because I think in Auburn, Alabama, for an example, they can't just recruit the state of Alabama and win a national championship. But what they'll do is put 185,000, 90,000 people in their stadium, or 60,000 in the spring, and there'll be so much enthusiasm and so much excitement that they will attract the best players from other parts of the country. So there are not enough athletes, but our fans and our fan support make these programs, and that should go down to Troy, and that should go to Jacksonville, and to Bowden, Alabama. It's the intensity, excitement, and commitment of the fans that allow us to now it makes every student athlete in our state try to be the best they can be to give us good numbers for our 4 million population. But I think it also allows us to go to Georgia and Florida and Michigan and get great players as well.